Welcome to another video, guys. Today I'm gonna give you 5 really good decks that are actually on a budget. All of these decks will be about 4,000 dust or less, and they will have good enough stats for you to actually be able to climb even to Legend with them. Some of these decks have 0 legendaries, while others are actually around 60% win rate, so they're really strong. So if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be one of the cheapest, and this is Secret Mage, which is sitting at about 53.6% win rate for the last 7 days from Diamond to Legend, so it's definitely usable to climb to Legend with, if you know what you're doing with it at least. Secret Mage has been a cool deck, especially in Wild for quite a while, and now we actually have enough support to really be pulling it off in Standard too. You're not gonna be seeing this on Masters or anything, but you're definitely capable to reach Legend with this if you play it well enough. We obviously have a couple of good costume singers, so you thin out the deck with your secrets. Arcane Worm helps you with a little bit of extra reach, but it also can be used to control the board early on. Anonymous Informant helps you to discount your secrets. Cosmic Keyboard is pretty nice because once you play a secret you also get a chunky free with it early on. We're also having the Excavate package, so we're obviously running the good Excavate cards with Kobold, with this thing. We also have the Researcher, which is giving you even more secrets. Burrow for extra excavates, and that's about it for the Excavate package. Void Scripture also helps you with a little bit of extra random shenanigans, and if you play this on turn 5, you could even get a random secret out of it, instantly cast, which is kinda cool. And actually, Void Scripture no longer tells the opponent what spell you've cast if it was a secret, so that's gonna help you as well. The secrets we are straight up running in here would be a single counter spell, an explosive rune, and a couple of objections. And those would be the best secrets in the game right now for Mage. With objection being the best, so be smart about how you actually play it. Like if you're trying to stretch your objections longer against the opponent, try to actually start off with another secret, so the opponent is actually afraid and has to test for it first. And if you're smart, and you actually know exactly what the opponent is trying to do on each turn, you could be timing this very well. Like if you're against the warrior and it's turn 8 for him next turn, that is the turn where you want to be dropping a secret like counterspell or explosive rune, and the opponent is most probably going to try to play around it, and they don't have any 0 mana minions, so they cannot really play around it, so that's going to make them skip the turn to drop Odin. Try not to overdo that though, like once would be probably enough, and the second time really play the objection, and that should give you a lot of extra gas for the money. We have a couple of good cold cases in here as well. The Creation is very OP right now. Blast Mage is also in here, even though I'm not really sure how big of a hand you're gonna be having with this one, but it definitely is great because it also has the Excavate on it. And at the end we have a couple of Contract Conjurers. The deck is not super complicated, and you do have the Excavate package to get even extra gas, and you can get a lot of tempo out of the secret package too. Mulligan-wise, here's what the stats show on the Kept tab, and obviously Costume Singer is gonna be great going first, Kobold Miner is great, the Weapon is also pretty nice, Arcane Worm to help you curve out faster. Anonymous Informant is also pretty nice, could give you a turn 2 secret even. The Cryo Preservation is also decent, Cold Case can be great, but the rest you probably have to have a good reason to think about him. When going second, however, here's what the stats show there, and it's pretty much the same thing, but here I would say that Creation is also a pretty good idea to keep, so keep that in mind. For Secret Mage, this is actually the best variant, so if you get this, there's not really much to improve in it, so at least it has that going for it. On the number 2 spot, we have Aggro Paladin, and obviously Paladin has been doing very amazingly lately, and even after the nerf, I do believe it's gonna remain pretty strong. This is an Aggro Pally, which is not running anything like Countess, it's not even pure because of that, but it does still run Katori, which is gonna help you do a lot of extra damage with the help of your buffs. With this one, you basically want to curve out well, and as soon as you stick a good board, you can do an insane amount of damage with a good Garden's Grace. With Keeper's Strength, you get to control the board. Seal of Blood, Hand of Adal, and for Loss are going to be helping you get extra damage while getting extra discount for your Garden's Grace. So even just sticking a single minion with this deck is going to help you smack the opponent down really quickly. We still have Boogie Down, which is another holy spell to discount your Garden's Grace. We're also running one Horn of the Windlord, and you can do a lot of extra damage with the help of a couple of Losses, especially if you combo it with Katori somehow. And we're also running the new Deputization Aura, which is another holy spell that gives you a good amount of damage sustained, and also discount for the Grace. For the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first, and people still like to keep good 1-drops, the Boogie Down, Hi-Ho is pretty nice. We're also running Dry Scale Deputy in here, and that can be pretty amazing, and you could even be smart about how you play it. Like, if you play this and after that play Order in the Court, that's gonna give you doubled up Garden's Grace, So that way you could get an extra 0 mana +5/+5 like that, if you manage to draw him fast enough, because now Order in the Court doesn't draw anymore. But yeah, you want the good 1-drops, and if you already have a good sticky minion, Hand of Adal, or even 4 Celt Loss could make a good amount of sense. 1 on the coin, the situation is not that different, but here also Keeper's Strength becomes keepable, so you can get back on the board. Right now, here's what the best Aggro Paladin looks like, and it is not running that many much more legendaries. You are going to be running ETC Band Manager, which is supposed to be free, but other than that, we're not having any other legendaries in here as well, so that helps you too. On the number 3 spot, we have Dragon Druid, and yeah, Dragon Druid has been doing quite well for quite a while now, and after the nerfs, it's probably gonna be even better now. This Dragon Druid is using mulligans, and that is a free card, so you are gonna have it for free, no need to craft it, but you definitely want Fae in the deck, because that is an insanely OP dragon that helps you clutch out a lot of games. Other than that, the deck is pretty standard. We have a Peaceful Piper here so you can pull off your Snapdragon faster. We are running a Seedsman, and if you're a Druid player, you always want to have this anyway. And Dragon Golem is obviously a no-brainer. It is an epic, but it's probably the best card in the deck right now, and that's the whole reason why Dragon Druid is doing so well right now. For the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. You want your Peaceful Piper. I wouldn't really be keeping Snapdragon too often, like that's the whole reason why we have the Piper in here, so you can draw these dudes out. But it is only a single Peaceful Piper, so I guess you can still consider holding this guy. Splish Splash is the best keep you could be going for, obviously. Cactus Construct is very nice to actually curve out nice and well. And this thing can also give you extra dragons, and that helps a ton in some cases. Take to the Skies is pretty nice. Widowbloom Seedsman as well. Don't get baited into keeping Asheron Gardens, by the way. Like, you don't really want to be playing this on turn 1. Like, yeah, if you get it on turn 1, you're probably gonna play it if you don't have anything else to do. But this is not something you usually want to be spending your turn 1 on. So throw this back in the bucket and draw it out later when you actually have a decent hand size. Especially if you already have the Dragon Golem, which is the main reason why you want to be buffing. Summer Flower Child might also make the cut, but try to be curving into it, especially against faster matchups. Innervate, if you have something to innervate into, like even turn 1 into Splish Splash might be pretty good, then Innervate might also make a good amount of sense. And for 1 on the coin, it's pretty much the same thing, but here even Asheron Gardens makes a little bit more sense because you are gonna have an extra card in your hand. Right now from Diamond Legend, this is the best Dragon Druid list. It is a little bit more expensive than just 4,000, but not by much, and it's definitely worth it. So if you have the dust, definitely try it out. On number 4 spot, we have the freshly nerfed Aggro Demon Hunter, but it is still gonna be a monster of a deck, especially if you're good with it. Like, yeah, right now it is gonna be a lot harder actually sticking the Blind Eye Sharpshooter on the board, let's say on turn 2 or turn 3, and expecting it to live, but I do believe it's still gonna be a pretty decent deck, cause it was broken before, and now it's gonna be just good. You're still gonna be able to OTK people like that. And it's not the main win condition for this deck anyway, like you have things like the big Biblomite, the Sightless Magistrate helps you with the card draw, you have a couple of Momentums and Dispose of Evidence, and that's basically 0 mana, 14 damage out of nowhere. So yeah, the Blind Eye Sharpshooter is definitely still great, but you can definitely pull off wins even without it in certain games. This is what the stats show going first, and Blind Eye is still a pretty good thing to be holding on to. Miracle Salesman, Biblomite is insanely strong. The Frequency Oscillator helps you drop 0 mana Mistake. Vicious Slither Spear is still pretty good on turn 1. Wayward Sage, especially if it's already outcast, it can be super flexible. The Sightless Magistrate, especially if your hand is fast. And the Magnifying Glaive, again if the hand is fast. When on the coin, again, Sharpshooter, the Salesman, Biblomite still decent, but apparently the win rate for it is not as amazing there. Same for Frequency Oscillator, even though it still makes enough sense if you ask me. Vicious Slither Spear is still nice, Magnifying Glaive as well, Wayward Sage again if it's especially outcasted, and Sightless Magistrate probably. Again, this is probably the best variant of the deck. It has relatively the same sample size as the other two around it, and it's just a single card difference. Here we have a Shambling Chow instead of Oasis Outlaws, and yeah, I guess this can help you with the tempo a little bit more. But it's basically the same thing for the same price, so you can literally choose out of these 5 different iterations of Aggro Demon Hunter right now, and they're all straight 4,000 dust, so if you have it, you can definitely go for it. And on the last spot, we have good old faithful Undead Priest, and this is a little bit of toned down variant without the Titan, as well as we're not running the Revive guy. But it's still a pretty nice, straightforward aggro deck, and it's gonna give you a lot of wins if you're good with it too. We are even running Soulburner Varia in this one, and I'd assume you can try the deck without it even, to go even cheaper, But Varia definitely is a pretty helpful card, even though I've seen even optimal lists that don't run Varia instead of the Titan or the Revive guy, so there's that too. But yeah, Shadow Priest, you already know what's it all about. You just aggro early, try to get some phase damage with your minions in the first few turns, and then you can transition into burn damage from hand with Shadow Word on Death, with Rotting Necromancer, and even with things like Shadow Spirit and Mindseer. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show to keep first, and yeah, you want your good 1-drops. The Shadow Ascendant is amazing, especially if you already have a good 1-drop. Mind Eater is an okay keep, but I would try to pull something better than that. The location can definitely help, and be careful holding on to Varia. It usually doesn't play out as amazing for her. On curve at least. When on the coin, Undying Allies becomes insanely OP, so definitely hold that. And if you already have Undying Allies, you're gonna try to get a bunch of good early game minions like your Arms Dealer, like your Egg, like your Banshee, and Shadow Ascendant is also pretty amazing. Right now, this is actually the best variant of Undead Priest, believe it or not, but for the last 7 days, this indeed has been doing best. You can see that the variant with High Cultist, as well as the Titan and Varia, is not doing as amazing. It's 1 less %, even though the sample size is bigger, and the variant with just the Cultist is also not doing as amazing, so I guess this would be the optimal variant, sitting at 35,000. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope this helps you figure out what relatively cheaper deck you might want to be trying next. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a subscribe would really be appreciated. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video, or stream.